welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. I'm Sunanda Jaiseelan. Anything that concerns you, the entrepreneur, we've got it covered right here on the show. Today, I'm in conversation with SIDBI. Talk about and address the issue of liquidity support to entrepreneurs in 2021 and in 2020. What was it like? Are we expecting that things could perhaps become easier this year, given what the situation was last year?
Yeah. First of all, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the thoughts on behalf of SIDBI with Economic Times. I'm obliged for that. At the outset, let me first put the entire context and perspective in which the entire financial year 2020 has worked out so far. We have seen 9 months roll out in this current financial year, and the first couple of months have been very tough. All of us knew very well about it, including the lockdown, its effects, and the impact on businesses. But what has SIDBI done to really handle this crisis, and how it has panned out in the last 9 months by supporting the MSME segment in the country? In fact, if you recall, SIDBI is an institution which has been set up as a kind of a nodal agency for the small and medium businesses in the country. So I can with confidence say that SIDBI is a specialized institution for MSMEs. This particular tag of a specialized institution makes us to think very fast in difficult times and come out to the support of MSMEs. So immediately after the breakout of the COVID, we have come out with certain tailor-made products which are intended to mainly support the liquidity problems which the MSMEs were facing then. Of course, we came out with certain products by which our direct finance has extended support to the deserving MSMEs which were badly impacted, and we had given good amount of loans. In fact, if I am to say the statistics of the total disbursements made so far through our direct finance, around 34% has gone through the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which has been initiated by SIDBI. Apart from this, the special liquidity scheme, which has been announced by the Reserve Bank of India sometime in May 2020, that has given us an allocation of around 15,000 crores for supporting the banks, MFIs, NBFCs through this particular allocation of 15,000 crores. And I can again say with all humility that this 15,000 crores has been given to the needy MSMEs through the chosen banks, NBFCs and MFIs within a very quick time. Of course, you must have got all the figures with regard to the total sanctions and disbursements of the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, of which the 3 lakh component is well out in the public domain, and we know how successful it has been. But apart from that, SIDBI got an amount of rupees 15,000 crores from the Reserve Bank of India, and this 15,000 crores, again I'm repeating it, has been utilized for the direct benefit of the MSMEs which were impacted by the COVID-19. So the specific liquidity measures which SIDBI has taken are: one, out of its own loan book, it has funded. Second, through this RBI designed scheme, we have supported the MSMEs. And together with these, we try to reach out and help the MSMEs to the extent possible in the difficult times. Apart from that, we also had the other announcements of the moratorium and the restructuring, which we can talk a little bit later. Now, if you ask me about the performance of SIDBI for this 9 months, I would like to say that the performance has been really very good. In fact, both on the profitability part and on the business front, we are doing our best in terms of comparison of the previous years. Our loan book on the direct credit finance has been increasing. It has been showing a steady increase, and we are also trying to keep the same levels of the funding through the indirect finance. Apart from these two arms of direct finance and indirect finance, you will also appreciate that we have got a venture capital arm through which we implement the specific schemes designed by the government of India. So through the venture capital funding also, SIDBI has been playing its part. And on the profitability part, at this point of time, I would like to specify that as against 1564 crores that we made in December 19, we are now around 2165 crores of net profit for December 2020. So what I'm trying to say is, in all these tough times, especially for the year 2020, our focus of not only being profitable, but our primary responsibility is to ensure that the funding happens to the needy and to the impacted businesses, because 2020 has been that kind of a year which actually no one foresaw, because we know all over, nobody foresaw the COVID crisis coming in. But due to the intervention of the government and the Reserve Bank of India through the special schemes, we were able to reach out to the MSMEs and help them to the extent possible within the available finances that were given to SIDBI.
I want to start by talking first about the loan dispersal under the Fund of Funds for 2020, the initial period of 2021. What's it been like? What can you tell us?
Yeah, if you recall, actually the Fund of Funds has been started from 2015 onwards. In fact, it has a horizon up to 2025, by which all the startups and non-startups are to be supported over a period of 10 years. If you look at this 10 years period, I would put 5-year period of around 5,000 crores and another 5 years period, we can allocate another 5,000 crores. Now, as against this 5,000 crores, as of now, when we are talking, I can tell that around 4,300 crores has been allocated and sanctioned. It's not just allocation. In fact, we have funded around 62 AIFs for investing them in the startup companies. Of course, you all know the definition of startups, etc. That I would not like to discuss at this point of time. But suffice is to say at this point of time that the allocations which have been given in 2015 are progressing in a very satisfactory manner, and on a year-to-year basis, we are seeing growth, and we have got around 391 investee companies. That means out of 62 startups fund of funds which we have funded, 391 companies have been supported through this particular scheme. And we are looking forward, because you know the allocation of the health sector in this current budget has increased enormously. So this gives us opportunity for the entrepreneurs to come out with their ideas, to come out with their business plans, to come out with their business models, and then avail the financial support from the Fund of Funds. In fact, SIDBI is doing a lot more to bring awareness and spread the message of the availability of the Fund of Funds for various entrepreneurs, because we would like the startups in the country to avail the benefits of this particular scheme. And if they are able to establish new businesses, it will in turn give employment both on direct basis and indirect basis, which will help the overall economy. So we are closely monitoring the Fund of Funds, and of course the Ministry of Commerce has also been guiding us and has been advising us on making this scheme much more available to the startups in the country. So at this point of time, the startups are showing interest, and we are getting good number of inquiries, which we will definitely take it forward and see that the resultant sanctions materialize.
We have to take a quick break on that note, sir. We're back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow tonight, an exclusive conversation with SIDBI. There was a recently announced scheme about the Confederation of Women Entrepreneurs, the government, of course, making it easier for them to get funded. What could you tell us on that?
See, SIDBI, as I told, is both a funding institution and an institution which is designed and created for promoting MSMEs, both in the normal categories of business and also for women entrepreneurs. As far as the women entrepreneurs and women segment is concerned, in fact, SIDBI has been associating with various women entrepreneur associations throughout the country. They are trying to reach out. We have the program of Stand Up India program, whereby one woman entrepreneur needs to be supported by each branch of a bank, and these banks include the public sector and other categories of banks. So we are trying to reach out to the women entrepreneurs. In fact, there are so many steps which I would like to make a mention. As you rightly pointed out, the COVWE is one such forum by which the women entrepreneurs are being encouraged to come out and set up businesses for which the funds will be available. Similarly, more awareness programs are being created. The success stories of women entrepreneurs who have already tasted success are being displayed through various knowledge sharing sessions being implemented by SIDBI. We are taking these measures so that there can be a lot of awareness and the confidence which the women entrepreneurs can come to the fore and start their businesses. As you know, actually business has its own plans, it has its own risks, etc. There requires to be a lot of hand holding and counseling sessions which are necessary. SIDBI has also its part cut out for advising, and in fact we have specific schemes by which there are hand holding agencies empaneled throughout the country. So if there is a woman entrepreneur who requires some kind of a support, not only in terms of the finance, but in terms of preparing a business plan or having some other kind of strategies worked out, they can get in touch with the empaneled hand holding agencies which SIDBI has on its panel, and SIDBI is going to extend all its support to the women entrepreneurs. In fact, SIDBI will not lag behind in terms of providing all the support, whatever it is required, both in terms of funding requirements as well as the non-funding part, because I have been emphasizing that non-funding is as critical to SIDBI as the funding part, because ultimately it is starting from the conceptualization of a particular project or a particular business model that the woman entrepreneur or any entrepreneur needs to be supported. So SIDBI is going to play its part and support the women entrepreneurs through its industry associations. And in fact, one more aspect which I would like to bring to the entrepreneurs community in general is about the network of SIDBI. In fact, SIDBI has got territorial presence throughout the country. In fact, we have got around 9 regional offices and 82 branches. These offices are completely equipped to provide guidance and support to women entrepreneurs, and they can reach out to the regional offices and branch offices for any kind of support. And in addition, if there are any other steps or any other guidance which they may require, they can also look out at the offices which we have at Bombay, Lucknow and New Delhi.
According to data and your own research, despite the kind of growth we've seen, consumer personal loans seeing just average ticket sizes of about 9,000 odd rupees, coming down nearly 40%. How do you like to address that, sir?
No, these consumer personal loans which have come down by 40% is largely due to the COVID impact. We need to make some kind of a concession that people have been what we call under lockdown, so they were off the employment revenues, etc. They were impacted. As a result, the consumer loans, etc. may not have picked up, but the trends from December, November and October, they are definitely showing an increase. And going forward definitely we will see more improvement in the credit figures in various segments. In fact, even in terms of personal loans, auto loans, consumer loans and retail loans, as well as the MSMEs, we have the requisite information that businesses are going to pick up and the loan requirements are going to increase, and banks and funding institutions will be able to sanction more loans and disbursements to the businesses.
The fintech industry changing, of course, the way loans are being lent, but what further innovation could we expect in 2021? Even as we're seeing, the kind of innovation and the growth that the industry has seen in 2020, we're now talking about the second wave of the pandemic coming back around, and therefore perhaps more and more online transactions really taking place.
Yeah, in fact, I'm very excited by this entire fintech models because as far as SIDBI is concerned, we have one particular scheme known as Prayas. Of course, there is a very nominal kind of allocation of around some 250 to 300 crores, which are allocated for tie-ups with fintechs for lending to businesses. Now, leaving this 300 crores, etc., which SIDBI is going to do, what is the entire environment of the fintechs? In fact, the banks are also, public sector banks also are now adapting to the technological changes and making innovations in their technology platforms so that they can reach out to the customers directly or through the association with fintechs. So the fintechs are going to be here. They are going to be the, whatever I would not like to say, they are going to be the mainstay of the entire lending platforms, etc. But they are going to be a very critical partner and a critical component in the entire lending ecosystem. As far as the concerns are there, of course, we have been reading in certain newspapers, etc., about certain practices which are not conforming or which are not inconsistent with the adopted practices and regulations by the Reserve Bank of India. I only hope that businesses will adhere to the requisite framework and guidelines which are there, and they conduct their businesses, because we need to appreciate that all these fintechs which are going to come up with their ideas and with their solutions, their central theme is to make funds available to the customers with least inconvenience, right? In fact, the entire concept of fintech is to cut down on the procedures part, on the paperwork, and see that the customers' requirements for funding are met with minimum amount of time. If we see this perspective, then fintechs needs to be encouraged, and fintechs are also tying up with public sector banks, with NBFCs and other organizations, so that the financial inclusion which we are all equally interested is achieved through the fintechs.
Could you address the loan moratorium that was offered to MSMEs and SMEs?
See, the entire concept of moratorium has come due to the crisis which has fallen out of COVID. Now the moratorium also has played its part. We are seeing good amount of recoveries, etc., which are going to come post the moratorium. In fact, there has been a window for restructuring. So accounts which really have certain problems, etc., by which they are not able to service the debt, the accounts are getting restructured. Other than the restructured accounts, etc., we are going to monitor the payment situation and see that the payments materialize in time. Now, I would also like to make one specific reference to the suspension of the insolvency proceedings. In fact, coupled with the moratorium, the Government of India has taken the step of suspending the insolvency proceedings with the objective of supporting the businesses. You all know that otherwise, in a normal situation, a default situation will lead to the creditors or even the corporate debtor approaching the NCLT for the resolution under the insolvency framework. But this particular code has been suspended up to a particular point of time. Now also the suspension is on, with a view to facilitate. All these we need to understand that these kind of steps, whether it is the emergency credit line guarantee, whether it is the special liquidity support, whether it is a moratorium or the restructuring and the suspension of the insolvency proceedings, are all done with a view to help businesses to come back to the pre-COVID levels and have their businesses done on a regular basis.
So what's your outlook for 2021 then?
You look at the current scenario and the announcements made in the budget. There have been multiple sectors which have been opened up. In fact, including the defense sector, the auto sector, there are pharma sector. You talk about health and education, irrigation. As far as MSMEs are concerned, this throws up opportunities, because the entire theme of Atmanirbhar program being within the country, we need to supply, we need to manufacture, we need to have capabilities increased on a daily basis. There is a lot more going to happen with reference to various sectors. And as a small and medium industries or development bank organization, we are excited with the performance linked incentive schemes which have been designed by the Government of India. These are going to facilitate more opportunities happening in diverse sectors over a period of time. And I can assure that with the COVID, definitely with vaccination being done, etc., we appreciate that businesses are going to pick up and have the momentum going forward.
All right, thank you so much for your time here on the show. Completely out of time on today's episode. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our contact details are on your screen as we speak.